Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Your Life Canes. As always, I am Chris. There's a little box right there that says so. The box over there says Bill. He's up there. Down there, that's Steve. The box is too far down. I can't point to it. But pretend that I am here to talk to you guys about another week of Miami Hurricanes football. This past week, didn't have any Miami Hurricanes football. It was kind of weird, kind of off-putting for us. But luckily, we're back to business here with a big game against Louisville coming up. But Steve-O was not with us last week, so make sure we hit on some of those topics that he had to miss this invaluable conversation of. So make sure we jump into that a little bit. I do not like Port Knox just commenting Chris's mouth. That's a really odd way to start the show, Port. But we'll get back to that, I'm sure. Plus, people from Kentucky, a lot of good stuff. But we'll get some more of those conversations and maybe a little bit less about those comments in the chat, but more about how we're doing. So, Bill, how you doing today?
I'm good. Big chilling. Nice weekend of college football last week. A couple good games. Kind of national kind of landscape is starting to take shape, but we got a big one coming up this weekend. I know Louisville, dropped a couple games the last few weeks, but it's going to be a tough one.
It'll be a battle, and I think we all know if we think back to the prediction game, what Bill predicted for this one before the season started. Steve, I believe you were on the other side of the boat for that one. But Steve, how you doing today?
I'm big vibing. Nice commit from a very, very great place to get them from. And, we're back to playing football. It was really nice to just sit back and enjoy from 12 a.m. all the way, till, I still watch those, whatever. I'm going to call it Pac-12 after dark games, RIP. But, so I was vibing. It was a great day. Dolphins had the week off, so I didn't have to, struggle watching that. It's been awesome. Now we rolling through with Louisville. I'm so happy after waiting all week, all day last week. Now we just first game of the day, big slate, 12 o'clock. Get your breakfast ready. We're on at 12.
Yeah, it's been a lot of waiting. That 10 o'clock start was brutal on a lot of us. So now it's a whole different animal there at 12 o'clock. So, good opportunity to talk about that. But yeah, a lot of stuff. Intriguing game coming up this weekend. A very intriguing game. One that I know some people maybe overlooked and other people have been talking about for a while. So a lot to discuss with Louisville. So thank you guys for tuning in to watch us here on a Wednesday night.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska.
He's a stud, that Brown, number 98.
Irvin's got it. Irvin's free.
Slips to the outside, tries to stiff arm, and he couldn't get by Ray Lewis.
Big time players. Step up in big game.
Hard dog. Don't ask me if I'm all right. Hell no. Husker up to the races. That's what they needed.
That's Ricks going up for Thorpe, and it's intercepted near midfield. Sean Taylor's got another one.
Who else?
Who else but Sean? Who else but us here on a Wednesday night? I was actually watching the extended Miami Hurricanes highlights of Sean Taylor just this past week, just for fun, just because you like to do that. And when that line comes up, I get goosebumps again. Actually watching it out there. You guys don't remember the play was the interception in the rain game against Florida State that he took back to the house. But just watching that, something different. And then I was reminded of that moment a day later. I don't know if you guys saw it, but on the Hurricane social media stuff, they said, pick what former player would you love to be on the team right now? I don't know if you guys saw the young guys answering that question or not, but the amount of people that said Sean Taylor, it was one after the other. And I was like, the kids know. The kids know. They know the history. A lot of good ones in there. A lot of other good ones in there, but I don't know. Personally, whenever I heard Sean there, I was like, yeah, that's the one.
My first thought was Ed Reed for that.
Yeah, but you'll be surprised how much Canes fans, even the NFL community and ESPN, honestly, keeping his name alive has allowed the next generation, honestly, to just see how awesome it is. It doesn't matter if it's as HD as possible. I mean, this plays he made were just ridiculous as a Redskin, as a Cane. So you would be surprised, but I'd take Ed Reed. I'd take any of them all day, but you could definitely tell that the younger generation has not been lost. There's a lot of players that get lost in the shuffle, and lost in the past. And obviously some people remember him, but the new generation doesn't come up, idolizing them. But thankfully, Sean T is now one of those, and it takes a village because it's not even just our program. You got Alabama. What was his guy's name? Landon Collins, who wanted his number to be like Sean Taylor. Just a lot of people just remembering and embracing him. That's allowed just for the generation, not even just being Miami fans. Just keep remembering how awesome he was.
Yeah, and there, we're kind of also too in that we're talking about 20 years ago, right? Like it's a long time ago. So we're at that point now where some of those people that were, maybe 10, 11, 12 during that really like important time in their lives, and then they're having kids and their kids are starting to play football. So, it just turns into that conversation of, man, when I was a kid, who my favorite player was. So then now we're in that like dad zone of like dads telling kids about my favorite player. Like, I always laugh because my dad's favorite player that I heard about every single day when I was a kid was Lawrence Taylor. And so I was talking to my son, and I'm like showing him Lawrence Taylor videos. He's like, Dad, isn't your favorite player Sean Taylor? Were they related? And I'm like, no, but it is kind of weird. but
yeah, Jason Taylor. There's a lot of nice Taylors.
Yeah, some good players. But like that, you're in that range where now like the young generation are getting from the dads and all that too stuff. That's cool. But real quick, if you could right now slap a former Cane right on this roster, who would you pick? I'll go Bill first. Steve, you ponder, because I know you're trying to fight that urge to say Roscoe, so I'll give you a minute to battle it.
I'll stick with my Ed Reed. Kind of just eliminate some of those big plays that have been hurting this defense. My second thought was Jerome Brown, just to dominate put him and Bain on the same D line, which would be insane. I'll stick with Ed Reed.
Okay, dude. We got Steve. What we got?
You can't say Roscoe.
You can say Roscoe.
Nah, because then it's taking snaps away from X. We don't do that. What's it called? I'm honestly thinking either Bryant McKinney or who could I say?
Kirby.
I'm gonna say Bryant McKinney or Corn Elder. I'm gonna have to just go one of my favorite players.
All right. All right.
Yeah, I think
okay.
I would really like that.
Get Corn out there. Okay. In almost every scenario, I just pick McKinney because it's like obvious you pick McKinney, right?
To me, he's the most dominant player in Miami history.
Yeah, like you kick just. I don't know, do wherever you want with Rivers, kick him inside. It's like do something. I don't know. But like you just put McKinney at tackle and you have possibly like a dude had almost maybe the greatest season of any offensive tackle in the history of college football. And you could say other guys were up there equal, but I don't know how many guys that were better. Yeah,
we could literally, sell a ticket, for whatever the price may be to give Cam the night off. And someone go out there and hand that ball off. Somebody go out there and hand that ball off. We running to the left, baby.
That hole.
Ain't no secret where we going. Run the show night. You know what I'm saying? It's a Cam Ward NIL deal. Cash him out for the game. Go ahead and hand that Fletcher stretch off to the left, that Martinez stretch off to the left. God forbid, give a toss to CJ. He's gone.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, we'll go with McKinney. Maybe obviously, like we want to pick Sean too because that wouldn't be bad either. Wouldn't be bad either.
Yeah, and just not to say glaring need, but if the position needs to step up, it's definitely safety because we have two veterans that have played way too well to kind of have the games that they had versus Cal, especially like Jaden Harris and Mish missing tackles. Hell no. Yeah. So they definitely would bring it in, but yeah, that'd be pretty awesome to add Sean T to any team. Obviously, there's Hester. There's a lot that you can go with, but this is perfect. Like you can go we can go NFL mindset, best player on the board, and have like 5 legit conversations.
Yep. Imagine the beauty of having a Devin Hester, and like nowadays with modern offenses, like knowing how to actually utilize him.
Yeah,
that'd be something.
That would be crazy. Yeah, imagine he'd low key probably play running back in this day and age. If it was me, I'd have him at running back because I'd have him in and out the slot. Very similar to what we see CJ do. Outside. Yeah, I would be pretty much. I would do something very, very similar with him, and it would be probably very advantageous for you. And I'd also let him play corner. Since that's what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
They say he would have started if he wasn't in the doghouse at corner.
They just love to get in their own way at that. That year we were about to like break out. They just love getting in their own way. Funny. It was talking to Bill about all those SMU guys because you're like watching the SMU Louisville game, the transition. All those SMU guys that are out there, putting a beating on Louisville that used to be Hurricanes and Brashard Smith playing running back. Yeah, it's another example of it, right? How do you use this guy? They're like,
he's having a good year.
Yeah, he's having a great year. Jalen Knighton unfortunately went down with injury, and Brashard just eating up those snaps at running back. And a lot of us down here, Brashard's been just playing with the ball in his hands for a long time, and he was trying to develop as a receiver. I think he was a good receiver. I'm not gonna say he was undeveloped. I would definitely agree if you say he was underutilized, but he's definitely found a good role at SMU. And as somebody who watches SMU games, because I check in with Jakai. I visited over there with them like a couple months ago when we visited SMU. So it's nice to see them boys doing well. Talk to Jay and all them boys. So that trip. So it was nice to see Romello get a few catches. I was worried because they had to bench their quarterback. I was like, damn, that maybe them boys not gonna get the ball, but it's working out just fine. But yeah, what they did to Louisville is exactly what we would want to do. Run the football and throw up 50-50 balls, and they were dominating Louisville's defensive backs.
All right, so let's get into it, Steve. Did you watch that SMU to watch the whole game, or just kind of like bit and pieces?
I watched like every game, but yeah, I paid attention to the SMU game. So I definitely caught a good amount. Keyshawn Smith's touchdown was like a back shoulder in the end zone. It was definitely so Louisville could definitely put a little bit of fear in you, or not fear, but you have to respect their speed at receiver and their skill talent at receiver. We all know who Ja'Cory Brooks is. We all wanted him. He's a good player still, so that's a guy you definitely have to circle because he could boom more often than not. He could boom. So that's one thing, but the defensive backs, they don't like they have speed, they have this. I feel like they're very susceptible to like good route running, and we have really good route runners on the team. So I'm really not worried about our matchup that way. But flip the side, the way the secondary's been playing last few weeks. Shout out to Daryl Porter, putting the clamps on versus Cal, playing like how we got to play. But it's definitely going to be a week where both safeties have to show up because Ja'Cory, he could take the top off. They have a couple other guys. One of our raw youngins, Isaac, is over there at running back, a true freshman. He's lighting it up, and he's a 4-3 guy, and he's going to bomb you out of the backfield. And he's in the same Brashard Smith role. He played safety for us and rusher. But yeah, he's dynamite. Isaac is dynamite. So they got a lot of speed. But I think defensively they can't hang with us, and hang is not the word I wanted to use.
So let's talk about that Louisville offense for a second. Just getting into it because that's where like obviously the threats are. And you talked about Isaac before. He's averaging. Bill was given the stats before the show, but averaging like 8.5 or something yards per carry, like 500 yards and just 50, like big numbers for a young guy, especially one that wasn't as heralded as others going on.
I don't know, it's because he was short, bro. That's the only reason why he playing raw. He playing with us raw at safety, going crazy. And they're like, yo, who is this kid? And he's like, yeah, he's a 3-star running back that y'all keep sizing because he's like 5'8". Like that, he got bunnies. He got elite hands, like receiver hands. He's a threat. He is definitely a threat. And I would make sure you get 11 hats to the football when you're playing him because it only take one missed tackle for him to hit you for 20, 30, or all the way.
Bill, thoughts on it?
Yeah, no, it's good. Really good player. The whole Louisville offense has. They are an explosive offense. That's, who they are, right? And, kind of what we've seen from the defense with, Cal Virginia Tech against two offenses that really aren't that good. We allowed them to be explosive. So I think that's the number one concern for me is that, Brom's a, hell of a coach, offensive, play caller, did us dirty last year, really knows how to kind of dial it up, so to say. But that is my number one concern is if the defense can't keep up, it could be a long night.
Yeah, Backing Up has a question: who has more speed at the skills out of Louisville, SMU, and us?
Speed,
just pure speed.
I ain't gonna lie. I would probably say Louisville's receiver room. I don't know, because you got to really factor in night cars really fast. We just lost Robbie to the cornerback room. Skill. If we go on skill, we could count corners. That's tough. I don't know, because they got some fast people as well. We got some burners. We got Fan Brown, burner. Nikar, burner, Ray, burner. I'm not missing anybody, right? Am I sizing anybody? Because JoJo's not a burner. You wouldn't consider JoJo and like Jacoby George burners, but they're fast. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They got some burners over there. I don't know who I'd pick, but I would definitely pick our skill guys over them because their secondary is cheeks. And I would still take our receivers over them anyway. And X is slower than all of them. I'll take them over. And X ain't even slow, but you know what I meant. So speed for speed, I would maybe hand it to Louisville. But I don't know. That would be tough because you got to factor in guys like Jaden Harris, who's a burner. A corner. Robert. Stafford's a burner. I don't know. They might have maybe overall guys who shouldn't be playing at that level, but they were fast. So you might count the speed, but I don't know, bro. I don't know if they got something faster than some of our guys. I'm maybe not going off too much about it because I'm thinking about all the fast guys we got. But and then Rob, I don't know. That's tough.
I think at the end of the day, in terms of guys that actually play, both teams have enough dudes that, they're not going to outrun us. They might have fast guys, but we got fast guys too. SMU for sure, the opportunity, a couple guys they have, your Bichards of the world and all that. But nothing that Louisville has that we haven't seen in some ways or been able to match up with. But coming off of a game like the Cal game, and Steve, you didn't really get a chance to talk about the Cal game at all, at least not with us. Probably in your own anger at 2 a.m. that day as you're just pissed off watching the game. But what happened to Miami defensively that day that you think because you have 2 weeks off after a game like that. Obviously you wave of emotion to win the thing, but then you got to stop and say, okay, defensively, what the hell? What happened in that game defensively, and what do you think they've done over the last 2 weeks to correct it?
Well, the jig is out. We play a lot of man coverage, and we were switching a lot, right? And that was, we weren't switching at all. So it was putting, Darryl Porter in the bind because every game, what do you see DP doing? He's running behind a guy going this way or this way or this way or this way or this way, and they're getting that guy the ball really quick, where he can't even get over the top of them. And even if they're running the ball, they're running him this way and this way and this way, this way, and everybody else. So, during the Cal game, we saw them check off, and we seen Mish jump down and play that. And then when he jumped down and played that, I think Mish is a really good cover in the slot, but playing off coverage at 10, 12 yards on a receiver is very hard, bro. So he lost a couple matchups, let's be real. But those are very difficult situations to be in. So I feel that was a great adjustment. Hey, they're killing our nickel in this formation, and it's just picking us apart. It doesn't matter what we do on defense. They're running Darryl Porter here, there. There's no way he's going to have the leverage to stop some of these plays. So what they did was they had him stop doing that, and then we saw the crazy performance from Darryl, the 6 targets, 2 or 4 3 pass breakups, no catches, whatever, and you're like, okay, that's the Darryl we know. But that was putting our safeties in a bind. So immediately we went to more zone instead of putting those safeties in that bind, and you saw the defense start to, accumulate more pressure. Mendoza couldn't get the ball out as quick. Simeon Barrow woke up early in that second half, which changed the game with a couple impact plays that drive. Bain woke up. It wasn't for a stupid, I hate it sometimes, but Tyler Barron grabbed his face mask, whatever. But sometimes I'm like, it's hard to hold it against those guys. I don't hold it against those guys, but D-line started to wake up. But it was more because Mendoza didn't know where he was going with the football based on the 30,000 motions that they were hitting us with.
Right.
So I would hope that they did what they did over these last 2 weeks. I'm a very big fan of Coach Guidry, so I don't really worry about the defense, to be honest with you, because he's probably one of the only coaches in my entire life that I've been confident that he makes like adjustments. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to just keep doing the same thing. So what I would hope is going on is, one, he's drilling the hell out of his leaders for missing tackles. Way too much missed tackles. They had a players only meeting. I'm pretty sure some guys with a lot of pride and a lot of clout in the building had to get called out, because you just can't play like that if you're trying to play for national championships. And I think that's the great news that the team held that player only meeting even after back-to-back win and all that stuff, comeback wins and all that, because you can't be satisfied with that, because we squeaked by. We literally squeaked by. One call goes the other way and we lose that game. Yeah. So we definitely, things need to be called out on that. But I think he's going to adjust and, do a little bit more, maybe zone pressures. I think maybe we need to get some of our linebackers involved with, some of that pass rush, maybe help some of that defensive line. Maybe we put too much stock in the defensive line just to rush with 4. I think now 2 more weeks of healthy Bain, he'll probably be the savage he always is. He definitely didn't have a bad game, but he could have had Mendoza for a sack, ended up being a big play. I don't think in sync Bain is missing that sack, to be real with you. He just got a little over pursue a little bit. So like the Bain, when he's back in his groove, is not gonna, those plays aren't gonna be made. So we're gonna be better, but maybe that we bring a little bit of the linebackers, maybe we bring a corner, something like that, mix it up, try to help up, and then maybe a little bit more zone, especially versus a team like Louisville, who's gonna have a couple 4-3 guys going here and here and here, and then try to just get you peeking one time and or 2 times. So I would hope maybe more eyes on the quarterback, and this quarterback could run a little bit. He's been injured a lot in his career, but he's still very mobile, and he's shown he can do that. So that would be my thing. But I'm really not worried about the defense. I'm actually a really solid believer in Coach Guidry.
Okay, Bill.
I am worried about this matchup. Kind of like what we were talking about before, but I think kind of the key to the game is our offense, being efficient. If I'm facing, this Cam Ward offense that is, elite, I'm going to try and make them run as many plays as possible going downfield, hoping that, Cam Ward has a reckless play or, takes a sack or, some type of negative play happens. And that's what I think kind of on the back half of the schedule that the defenses are going to do, because, what's been going on in the first half of the year, clearly wasn't working. So, rushing 3, drop 8, rush 4, maybe throwing a, pressure blitz every once in a while. But I really want to see this offense just come out, be efficient. They're going to get theirs. We know that. They're too good not to. But, with the potential that Louisville's offense has, you can't fall, down, 2 or 3 scores, because you're not going to be able to come back like that again, like we've seen against Cal and Virginia Tech. Louisville's, I think, their roster's on a totally different level. They're not going to give up a 3-score lead or whatever like that.
Yeah, then last year we had a lot of great bend don't break games on defense. I think it would need to be that. Last year versus Louisville was the game that low key, out of all the games you can point at, they gave us the most trouble on offense. And we had a great defense last year, and that was kind of the one team that I thought moved the ball almost the best. And that was because they combated that man coverage. But I think, going into this game after a bye week, I know Canes fans might still have remnants of the curse of the bye week, but that's been slain. New regime, new, everything into it. So after the bye week, you've had that tape from last year. This offense, we know what it is. This guy, Brett Braum, is a matchups guy. Right, all he cares about is getting the best matchup. At least in my opinion, when you're watching it, because it's always his guy in the right situation at the right time. So to me, just watching it seems like he's a matchup guy, and he's waiting for that matchup to call that big play. So he will set things up. So you just can't take the cheese. You really can't take the cheese.
So considering where we are, and I know Bill brought up the offensive side, and do you trust Miami if it gets into a shootout to be able to be as consistent as they've been? I know Cribb said before, basically why we worried about it, who's going to stop the offense. And the offense, when it's clicking, is great, right? You maybe saw a little bit more dents in the armor this past, the last time out against Cal, especially early on. Like, I know that one of the big things was the cam throw where he went back across his body, just like straight up, like hero ball, Josh Allen. Like, I'm going to just complete this. I am the greatest quarterback who ever lived. Throw. But so we saw a little bit more dents than we maybe had seen in the past, and some other things that kind of like chipped away at it. Are you nervous at all about the offense's ability to keep up if it gets into that thing where Louisville is scoring points? Let's say maybe not at will, but they're putting points on the board, Bill.
Yeah, the only people that can stop the Miami offense is the Miami offense, right? Kind of just looking back over the last few weeks or so, everything has been self-inflicted when we've gotten into holes, whether it's penalties or bad throws or fumble, whatever the case is. We haven't seen a defense legit just step up and like lock them down. Cal had a pretty good defense, but overall it's been all self-inflicted. So I fully expect it to be a shootout, but I'm not betting against Cam Ward at this point. But you just can't start slow. That's the biggest thing.
Steve-O, how do you feel if we get into a shootout?
I feel great. Anytime you go into a shootout, you look at who got the best quarterback, who's going to make the best plays. I think, who scores last, honestly, obviously matters as well. But I'm very confident in our entire offense. I think our offensive line, is really well, gelling. They, people are saying, not saying, but, that we need to improve on the run game a little bit, but there was definitely signs of that versus Cal. I thought Mark Fletcher had really good runs. He was averaging 8.8 yards a carry. I mean, what else you want? Damian Martinez had good runs. He had good moments in the passing game, that big 3rd and 23 conversion, stuff like that. So you saw the running back room and just, the running back room really come alive and contribute to the offense throughout the entire game. We started off running the ball, and we're still running the ball in the fourth quarter. So, like, the running game kind of contributed the entire game. That's all you can ask for. But now it's time to build on that. Real deal. Got to build on that. But as long as we can run the ball consistently through the whole game, I wouldn't be as worried.
Are you getting a vibe of like that hot hand at running back? We've had a lot of backs play. AJ Allen's played. CJ's obviously got a little run. Obviously Fletcher and Martinez being the main two guys for most of it. But like, do you have a feeling for who might be that guy that if we had to just say like, hey, dude, you got to handle the rock. You got to be the guy. Who would you trust, Steve-O?
I mean,
who you give him the ball to if you had to?
I trust all the running backs, to be honest with you. I think AJ Allen's earned that trust and earned more snaps. I think, maybe CJ hasn't earned the trust for most Canes fans, but I like CJ. I've always liked CJ. And I think, this is year to be more of a pass catcher, but, he's going to be a good running back here, running the football here. But so I trust all of them, especially Jordan Lyle. I've been telling y'all about him for a while, but Martinez, great power, great guy, everything. But dog, I gotta go Fletch, fam. If I had to go a guy right now, just because the hot hand. And then Martinez played well versus Cal, and I thought he had really good runs. I mean, he converted like 4 or 5 first downs. Had that end zone touchdown where a guy met him at the 2-yard line. He powers through. But man, Fletch was running like the Fletch we saw last year, because he got healthy right before like the season. Like, he wasn't in football game shape. Now 6-7 weeks in, going through the grind, he's the Fletcher that's game ready. We can hand that boy that damn ball. Like, we can hand that boy that ball. And so when you're thinking about shootouts and school and teams like that, like Louisville, who could explode for a lot of points, they've been in shootouts. They were in shootouts with the SMU. Running the football, Brashard Smith was what separated that SMU game. Still being able to control the clock and do what you need to do. Have your defense rested in the shootout, but don't have Louisville's rested. That's something that you have to be able to run all game. I brought it up earlier versus Cal. The running game was better than we've seen all year, other than like FAMU and one play versus USF. But like, we can run that football from the first quarter all the way to the fourth. And at times, I think, we'll be fine in the shootout. I would hope it's not a shootout because, we have I don't mind giving up some points. They're going to score, for sure. But I would hope it's not a shootout. But if we could run the football, this could be the game. Fletcher gets 15 touches, Martinez gets, anywhere towards 15 touches, whatever, if Martinez has a big game, he gets more carries, whatever the case may be. But it's got to be a game where, we lean on some of these running backs. If it has the makings of a shootout, we better commit to the running game.
I think without a doubt at this point, I think Fletch is, our number one back. But I think, Martinez, could have a role, but for whatever reason, it's just not, clicking to the level that I think we thought it would be. So I think, Fletch is kind of your, bell cow number one back. Martinez has a role, and then that third back, Jordan Lyle, or AJ Allen too, guys that can give you a little bit, more pop. But if you're feeding someone right now, I think you got to feed Fletch.
And hopefully it'll be enough. A great point by, it does feel like kind of moving things around and being frustrated. A team that's 6-0 that's done everything they needed to do. At this point, we've won the games. In years past, we're talking about these games like, I can't believe we lost that game. We should have never. We should have blah, blah, blah. But team that right now is undefeated, one of the top officially, according to the polls and all this stuff, one of the top 6 teams in the country. And, it's good to have things to complain about while still being confident. And Crip said we're still averaging 600 yards. So it's pretty darn good, especially when you have a quarterback that can lead the way and do the things he's got to do. So optimism still very much alive. The opportunity for us to keep this thing going and do it in a positive way is great. We'll see how it all continues, though, getting into this game. So anything else, big picture about this game? Any guys that you see standing out or someone that we haven't talked about yet that could be big, could be an important piece of this thing? Like, I know Ruben Bain, obviously huge, like how it's going to go. You think maybe like an Arroyo or someone on the offensive side that, Louisville doesn't have a dude that can match up with an Arroyo. Like, who does? Like, anyone else?
Who does? He's going to be a high draft pick.
Is there anybody that else we haven't mentioned yet? Did you like this dude has to be a player in this game, Bill?
The big news, Jalen Rivers coming back. Louisville does have, some edge guys that can play. So, see how, Rivers coming back. I think Mario said he could have been a full go last week, or I'm sorry, for the Cal game. But, they held him out, as a precaution. But, when he is in, he is, one of the best left tackles in college football, right? We talk about him, pro game probably, on the inside or, possibly right tackle. But, him versus Ashton Gelati, if I'm saying that right, is a matchup just to keep an eye on. If he is playing this whole year, it's not a concern in my mind. But first game back, is there rust? Just one play can turn the tide, right? So I think getting Jalen Rivers back is pretty big for this team, especially in the run game as well.
Steve-O, anyone stand out to you? Someone that we haven't mentioned yet?
I'm gonna just go with more of the defensive side. I'll go with defense under, Bill when tackle versus DN. I'm gonna go vice versa with us. It's time for Tyler Barron to have the games he was having earlier in the season. He played well versus Cal. I'm not gonna say anything about him. He got whatever they say his hands are low or high. You're supposed to coach that. I think that's an effort play. I don't get mad at those type of plays. The guy's trying to get to a quarterback, and I think he was getting held at the same time. But I digress. But it's time for him to, to have a big game, because, you don't want to have that September Heisman season. You know what I'm saying? I need you. We need you to be that guy, every time. It doesn't matter if Ruben Bain is back. What's going to make Ruben Bain way better is if, you're the Tyler Barron getting 3 sacks a game. Obviously, no, that's not sustainable, but, I just need to see it.
Hopefully we see it now. Like you said, Barron, that those DNs we talked up quite a bit, especially before the season. But then we saw Barron out in the field, and we're like, "Yep, this is it. This is the guy that a lot of people were talking up as a first-round pick, this and that, when he was in the portal." So about time it all clicks. And if it's going to be a game for it all to click, I think with our remaining schedule the way it is, like at least as far as the regular season goes, like this is the game where you want it all to really click because you're going to need it against an offense like that. So before we move off of the talk about this game, I think it's important that we go back to our old standard, and do our picks. Bill, we talked about it last week. I know, Steve, you weren't here, but I forget who even won last week. It wasn't Steve-O.
That was me.
Damn it.
Big shocker.
All right. So then we'll go through it. I know Steve-O's favorite part of the show is doing picks. It's his really chance to redeem himself this year. Bill's fallen off, so it made the rest of us really excited about that. Who do you want to go with, Bill? It's your choice. Who goes where?
I won last week, so I will go first. So if you want to start throwing your predictions in the chat, I will pick the fan of the week. What about Louisville prediction off the bat?
Bagging up. Right. Bagging up's always got a little bit of Bill in him. Always a little bit of Bill in those comments and picks.
All right, so I'll start as the chat rolls in. I do think it's a shootout. I do think we drop a game at some point this year, but not this week. Miami 41, Louisville 37.
41-37 as more rolling. Fresh got 41-24. Jay 42-41.
So as they're rolling in, Chris and Steve-O were tied last week. So
we tied Steve-O.
Chris, you won more recently, so you go next. Give Steve-O time to crunch the numbers.
Yeah, Port. I know what I said, Port. I know what I said. Oh man. I'm gonna go. What did you say? How much did you say for Miami? 41.
That's a 41-37.
Shoot, I'm gonna go. Damn, I'm gonna give like a stupid number, but I'm gonna go. Miami 38, Louisville 31.
31. All right. Steve-O, you're on the clock. 70-2.
I'm actually go 45-28. I don't think they score over 30 points versus us. And the reason why I think so is I don't think Coach Guidry is going to wait, to the second half to make this adjustment. I think, Louisville is going to come out and try to exploit a lot of things that they think we're going to run, and Coach Guidry is going to have something waiting. So just by my faith in that, I'm going to say, I'm going to go with that. I don't think they score over 30. They're going to get some points, but, I don't think they go over 30.
A lot in here. Let's go back. We got a lot, so I want to make sure we hit it. Bagging Up's got 38-35 Louisville. Fresh got 41-24. Jay Vickers 42-41. B Hart 33-17. Bob Leach, aka Dark Wolf, Miami 41-31. Cribs got it 45-20. Robert Works 35-7. Just a defensive standout performance. UCane's fan Hughes got 45-27. Port's got 42-38. Ian Coleman 38-14. 51-20. Fresh just changes his thing. But Clinton Trota's got 41-28. Fresh again changed for the third time. UCane's fan, you got prices righted, and Big Los got 45-28.
We're I know a lot of the scores.
What's
are
that, Steve-O?
You not pick that, or 40? Yeah, right.
You had 45. You had 45-28.
All right, bet.
So I'm gonna go with Fresh continuing to score there. I'm just gonna
Vito Manueli.
We'll go with Fresh this week as the fan of the week with his 51-28 prediction.
The third one.
I hope he's ready.
I see 51-28. We're wrong with that.
51.
Your latest one. All other ones are voided out. Fresh.
All right, now what's becoming my favorite part of this thing is what ridiculous thing do you think will happen? Ridiculous performance, score, whatever random prediction you have. Steve, I almost won last week with the guy who mocks Cam. Guy mocks Cam's celebration, then we immediately score because we did have the guy who mocks Cam crying on the bench after the game. So I mean, that was pretty close. It's pretty good, but
I hit the Jade Knott one last week too.
oh yeah, Bill was right with Jade Knott.
Yeah,
Changing up on his preseason prediction.
and he almost had 190 yards receiving after that one play. God, man.
I'll go first since I already wrote mine down about 3 hours ago. I'll say we have 2 touchdowns scored by true freshmen.
2 touchdowns scored by true freshmen.
That means you're going for running back touchdowns?
Could be running back, could be receiving, could be defensive.
Yeah, okay.
Covering all my bases here. But in my mind, I'm thinking JoJo and Elijah Lofton. But yeah.
That's true. And you got Lyle.
Yeah, Lyle. Yeah. OJ. Pick 6. We'll see. Who wants to go next?
All right. I'm gonna go 4 combined sacks for Barron and Bain.
4 sacks.
Just those two, Barron and Bain.
Okay. Steve-O.
I'm gonna go big boy touchdown. So either offensive line or defensive line, somebody's gonna score.
What defines big boy, Steve-O? Is there like a weight?
Offense or defensive line?
It has to be defensive lineman or offensive lineman?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
All right. Did anyone see anything in the chat?
But if Fletcher or Damian Martinez score, I might interject. The boys 225, maybe 230. Get a scale on them. Get a scale on them. If Riley Williams scored, that count, bro. He like 6'7". Like,
well, how about this? Cam McCormick counts because according to you, he's an offensive lineman.
Yeah. No, I can't try it like that. That was me doing a roster thing. I can't count that.
Yeah, you can't disrespect your elders like that, Steve-O.
That's crazy. I'm older than him, dude.
It's probably right there, though, right?
A little bit. I got a year or 2 on him, but yeah, it's who we going with in the chat?
See what we got Miami block punt. We have
I would love that.
7 sacks, 450 for Cam.
That ain't even crazy.
Give up a 50-yard and get one of our own. I mean, that feels like the way our games go.
Yeah, it's a game in a nutshell.
2 kick return touchdowns by the Canes.
Oh, I'm with that.
Crib says Mario pushes a quarterback on the sideline. Steve Vickers.
Hey, bro. Mike, y'all know MVP play with raw with us, bro. Now we was in flames, bro. Like, come on, bro. You a grown man. Why you pushing the kid? You seen him. You can't act like you ain't seen him. You walked up like 3 yards to him, bro. Why you push the kid? Because he exposed your defense? That's crazy.
OJ gets the first pick of the year. Almost returns it for a pick 6. I don't know what that would like officially be. Like, what is it almost? Like, just gets to the 5?
Man, just shoelace tackle at the 1? Damn.
Yeah, I can't even give him the touchdown.
Yeah, man, come on. Give him the hypothetical.
Sacked by Barra, Alston. He's just giving us regular stats. Elijah Lofton throws a touchdown. That's specific. Punt return TD. CJ kick return touchdown. And Jar Jar gives it a score, 38-24. All right. You see anything in there, Bill?
I like the Elijah Lofton throws a touchdown.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to beat that. The more ridiculous you get as a fan, the more likely we are to pick what you like. I was going to vote for Mario pushes somebody. Because it's probably always floating in his head.
Never physically assault a player. I'm sorry.
What if it was to defend one of his players? What if he had to just get in there and scrap?
I mean, yeah. Hypothetically, I would think when he walks to that sideline, that Orr is gonna just stop whatever's going on. But I'll be very disappointed if it's Mario who has to throw a blow, because then we not back. If Mario got to go out there and defend somebody, then maybe we not back. We need another team meeting.
Cribs wants to change his vote to reverse punt return touchdown. I said, no, I'm sticking with what you said before. Like, nothing else matters to me. But
I already locked in you Canes fan you with the Elijah Lofton throwing a tutty.
All right.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I ain't gonna lie. That was just creative, but at the same time, I could see it. I might be forcing myself to see it, but I can see it. I can totally see it. We already had a receiver attempt to pass this year. Should have been a touchdown. Maybe we go back to it. You know, every time you play Louisville, you got to have a player too that's just going, hey, I need to score, you know, just in case, you know, they score and you need to steal some momentum back. You know, just, you know, you feel like every time you play Louisville, even God-forsaken times when we had like Dan Enos, like we had some plays to like score really quick to answer Louisville because they could have explosive plays, bro. That's what they do. Sometimes their offense could be, you know, complete trash if those explosive plays aren't hitting. But if they're hitting, boy, it's hard. So you got to have something in your back pocket. Maybe an Elijah Lofton touchdown could do it. I've seen him do anything in between the lines. So I would not doubt he could throw a dot. It's like that Boobie Miles scene, and he can pass. I feel like we just add that to the repertoire.
I also Vito Manuel. Speaking of like other throws, McCormick throws a touchdown pass, which I think would be appropriate considering he was playing when they invented the forward pass. That would be a nice little like way to cap his career, right?
Yeah, y'all tripping. And it wasn't Duke Johnson. That was Joe Yearby, Port Knox versus Washington State.
Oh, yeah, it was Yearby. That's right.
What was that the El Paso, whatever bowl was it? El Paso?
Yeah, the El Paso Bowl. It's not the Sun Bowl now, but yeah, it was.
What it's called?
I think it was the Sun Bowl when we got there. And it snowed too. Braxton had that 60-yard. We was vibing. That was the one that hurt my heart to lose that one because when I seen him throw that pass. And this is young me. This is high school me. Yo, what the? Yo, and I like Stacey Coley, but I still hold that against him to this day. It was a blizzard out there, bro. It was a blizzard. This dude got frozen gloves on. Why he throwing the ball? This man, yo, oh my god. Yeah, the irony.
Always looks good in practice. It always looks good in practice.
Yeah, down in South Florida, it's not snowing down there. Oh my god!
Is there a bigger disadvantage?
It was like on first down too, bro. So unnecessary.
Well, first off, two things, Steve. Number one, if you have an opportunity, like if you're a skill guy and they say, hey, you're throwing this ball, like running the play, like how many opportunities do you think you have to actually throw it? Probably like the one. They're going to run it once in a game, maybe in the course of a couple of weeks. So as a skill guy, you want to throw that ball, right? Because you want to show them, hey, you know, like you were saying before, like I could be a quarterback. So like you're probably going to throw it no matter what, right? Is that fair to say, Steve-O? Like you're throwing that thing.
What? And my bad, I had to space out.
No, it's if you're a skill guy and you get the opportunity to throw a pass and they call the play, they're calling that play like once every like half a season. So you feel like you have to throw the ball, right?
No, but that's the thing. You don't have to throw the ball, bro. You could.
But in your heart, Steve-O, you're like,
in my heart, I'm gonna do it. But bro, like I've had that. I've passed it as you know as both in a game before, and you know I felt at liberty. You know, to definitely take that opportunity and throw it. It didn't work out. So I'm gonna tell you guys, don't do it. Especially if a safety's sitting there looking at you the whole time.
You got picked off, Steve-O?
Yeah, my boy played defense for me, but shout out to my dog Marcel. But it don't work out well. So when in doubt, just tuck it and run, fam. I felt that way, but I no longer feel that way that I have to throw it because there was a little red dot pointed at me the next day. So I'll carry that with me.
All right, that's good. But I was going to say something about like players from South Florida playing in the snow. There's no way to prepare for that for like guys from South Florida. Just like, hey, this thing you've never seen before. Now you're gonna go play football in it. Like I don't know what the contrast would be if you get someone from like Michigan, like this because it gets hot there. Like it could be hot, but
I want people to understand that the Miami teams can't play in snow or like cold weather, bro. Like obviously historically, when you look at it, they'd be like, man, we suck those teams, and bro, anytime we play a team in the cold, you know that's because this is what they do. They run the football, and we couldn't stop the run for a long time. You know, we just didn't have the roster to stop a Wisconsin. You know what I'm saying? We play in Virginia Tech in North Carolina. It get cold there. We play at Boston College. It get hella cold there. Syracuse, it get hella cold there. We play these games. Don't blame the weather on any kids losing or teams losing. I personally think the kids are okay with it because it's an adrenaline thing. Maybe if you've been sitting on the sideline for a minute, he might need you locked in, but you definitely cold. You locked in, or you frozen, whatever you want to call it. But if you play it actively, man, I don't think it's that much of a deal. To be honest with you, your body warms up. Obviously, if it's like excruciating cold, like crazy extreme circumstances, like you can't prepare for that. But you could long sleeve it up. Thermal it up, leggings to get the hyper warm leggings. Adidas has really good warm leggings. So that's a good thing for us. I think they're a little bit better than Nike's hyper warms, but I'm not here to advertise. I think they'll be fine. Like, I really don't think the weather is gonna Kentucky cold is not gonna be worse than Syracuse cold, bro. Or like pinstripe bowl cold. We didn't lose that game to Wisconsin because it was cold, bro. We lost that game on film on the way there.
Something to keep in mind with the weather is playoff time, right? Some of these teams from the South might have to be, going into Ohio State or Penn State in December, and that's different kind of level of cold than playing in November or whatever. But I think that's kind of something to keep an eye on. What is does LSU go into that like at Penn State, like how do they handle that? That could be snowing there in December, right? Because I think first round is what, mid-December-ish.
Yeah.
So
right.
yeah,
it gotta be
very possible.
It gotta be.
To answer Portnox's question, actually it's gonna be 73 degrees. Like perfect weather. Perfect weather for that game up in Louisville. So not bad at all. I feel like home. But that'll do. Oh, before we get out of here, Steve-O, we got a commit last week. I forget where he's from. It's like all these receivers coming from the same place, and I can't believe. But a Broward County native, Steve-O, tell us about him. What do you think of him?
Right there at the end of the show. Oh my, he's 6'5". He moves like he's not 6'5". Yeah, all that is true. He's actually really good. Maybe had one of the best sophomore seasons I've ever seen. I remember watching him live, and my boy Kadeem, his receiver coach. So sometimes when we're training out there on Sunday mornings, I'll see him out there with him. He does not move like he's 6'5". Had a hip injury, that kept him out most of his junior year, and people were just like, "Oh, who's this guy that Miami's all in on?" And who's this guy that, On3 basically has a 5-star, Rivals basically has him as a 5-star. Who is this guy? And then you just see all the videos when he goes to Miami and just dominates the camps, just dominates. And then you turn on the tape, and what he's doing right now as a senior, over 500 yards, 20-some catches, averaging like 30 yards a catch, breaking through, shaking people, running people over, hurdling, doing backflips where his head is like pretty much like symmetrical with the goal post. I mean, some freakishly athletic stuff. I personally always love and want a guy who can go up and get the ball at the highest point every class. You want that trait in every receiver, but he's special. He's definitely different in that regard. You can't come out here and say, in my mind, I'm always say, yeah, it don't matter what's your size. You need to go up there and win that 50-50 ball. They're not 50-50 balls with him, bro. It's the game is definitely tilted in his favor. There's 65-35 balls. 90-10 if the balls don't, relatively perfectly.
Is there someone that he reminds you of, like a player for us in the past, or just a receiver out there in general?
I don't say it just because I don't really like to throw that on kids, but way before this whole Miami stuff was, we've been on him since his freshman year. He's one of the elite young guys all the way through that stayed elite. Didn't really fall off. Like, he missed a little bit of time with injury, but he's been elite every time he's put on his pads. So Miami's been on him for a long time. A lot of people say Jeremiah Smith, but honestly, they really say Andre Johnson out here. That's really what they say. I'm not trying to put that on kids, but when you think about his physical ability and how gifted he is at 6'5", it make a lot of sense, and I understand. And usually the old timers hate when they get named some of these guys. there's old timers around here that really actually push that. So to me, I don't like to put that on kids, but I can see that trajectory. I mean, as long as he continues to work hard, he's extremely hard work, and I think that's a great work ethic position. You get better the harder you work at receiver. So that's the question mark. I don't think he has the Andre speed, because Andre speed was different, but he's definitely got speed. He's definitely going to be a deep threat and get vertical. You know, people wouldn't say Horton's a speedy guy. You see how deep he's getting, and vertical he gets. But that's what they say. I don't really have a comparison for him yet. I haven't really seen him live since his sophomore year, so I would want to see him live, maybe his senior year. I catch a game before I give him a comp like that. But that's what people say around here. And I've never heard somebody say Andre other than Jeremiah. People said Andre for Jeremiah, and I don't argue. I know.
I was thinking maybe it's hard with like size and speed and all that kind of stuff, because you have like these times for everybody, like play style, maybe like Hankerson, a guy that had better speed than you'd think, bigger dude, go up and get it kind of guy. I don't know, something.
But he's more than that though. Like you can get infatuated with that, but really light, really good. He could sink in his hips on his routes. He can make in-cutting routes. So I think he's not just not to slight a Kobe Young, but he was a fade, hitch, curl, comeback, quick screen guy. He's not. He wasn't doing, and slants. I ain't gonna say like he didn't catch no big slants, but he didn't really have the full route tree. I think Joshua Moore could run the full route tree, and he's definitely is special in that regard of getting the football at the highest point.
Okay. Well, another big get for the Canes, and hopefully it's just one of many. But you get a receiver, a guy that says, I want to be like all these greats, not only for Miami, but the great receivers from Broward County in general, which is cool to hear.
Yo. Horton, I don't like the saying, but Horton got missed on the touchdown last week versus Cal, running butt naked vertical down the sideline. He's been missed other times. He's definitely getting vertical, fam. That Florida vertical, Horton, he getting away from people, my boy. He definitely is. Definitely, especially, in short yardage situations like that slant, but he's still over there looking for him. So, he's definitely getting away from people.
Speaking of getting away from people, we're going to get away from you guys now, because we thank you guys for watching our show here on Wednesday night and talk to you guys about Miami. Getting ready for another opportunity to see the Canes continue, hopefully, an undefeated season out into the 7th game, the second half of the year. This is, to some people, this is the biggest test they have left in the regular season. It's hard to argue against it, but considering what people thought Louisville was, even with Louisville lost in their docket in the last time out, and not being ranked in the top 25, we know they're obviously a threat based on what they could do on offense. So it's a great opportunity for you guys to go there and watch the Canes in a reasonable hour, and not super late at night, even for like also old people. Even 8 o'clock is a little bit dicey on time, but at 12 o'clock, just wake up, have a little breakfast, maybe go for a run, play a little pickleball if you're old, and then, hey, there you go. You ever play pickleball, Steve-O?
I've seen one of these places that I train at is more of like how do I say it? Like it's in Cooper City. So if you're from down here, it's kind of like a nicer area, and they definitely have they have these little pickleball courts. They're like mini tennis courts, like Wii tennis type courts. Yep. And I've seen the crowd pickleball attracts, and I support it from afar.
You think, Steve, if we played right now, who do you think would win? Me or you in pickleball?
Anything with a ball, I'm winning.
You golfer, Steve-O?
Mini golf.
All right, so I'm not a golfer either. So you think mini golf you'd beat me?
Yeah, my dad is a legend out here in mini golf, and I've strived for a long time. To surmount that insurmountable mountain, and so even though I had peaked, I ain't taking no L's.
All right, fair enough. I do want to also throw this in there because workforce freebie, when you can't do tennis, squeeze in some pickle, which is that's a great capper of a comment. It's a great capper of a comment. Make me forget about what I said about Baggett and Bill before. But anyway, I'm gonna figure out every week. I'm gonna throw a different random sport at you, Steve. You ever play squash or racquetball?
Racquetball, I've seen it, never really played it. There's a racquetball thing in one of my boys' neighborhoods that we used to play dodgeball at.
That makes sense. Yeah, racquetball's a good time too. But I'm gonna think of some sports we're gonna beat Steve-O at. Obviously, we both beat Bill, Steve-O, so we can at least agree with that. But before we get out of here, some final thoughts for you guys. So, Bill, final thoughts for the people.
It's kind of crazy. The season's half over, but this back stretch.
I got you.
It's gonna be
Tiger Woods and his daddy.
Yeah, no game is going to be easy. We're going to be getting everyone's best shot. Even Florida State, maybe they keep it within 20. We'll see. Doubt it. But this weekend, you think you get by Louisville, which is probably the best roster team you're going to face. With a pretty great play caller. Just survive, advance, and then move on to Duke.
To Duke. Steve-O, final thoughts for the people.
Enjoy. It's going to be quick. We got 12 o'clock kickoff. I'm going to have a workout session in the morning, get some breakfast in me and be sitting on my couch ready to watch. So I'm really excited about that. I would, Canes, don't slip into your pessimistic ways. I've seen some of ours, take the bait and, fall into some of that and start, taking it out on individual players, even though, as a team, we're playing enough, well enough to be 6-0, well enough for a national championship. You can have that discussion, but you don't have to be pessimistic about it. Just keep a good energy about it. Cause I really think that the team, not that they heard the fans, but they got to be thinking the same thing we are. We're way too good for this. We're way too good for some of these plays. We shouldn't have to be climbing out versus Cal. We shouldn't have to be squeaking by, having the nation talk about if Miami's getting favored by refs versus Virginia Tech. You know what I'm saying? We should not be in those positions. So, I'm not saying don't voice your displeasures if something don't go how it's supposed to go, but keep a good vibe because this group is different. That you could hear about player meetings anywhere, but the players that called that meeting didn't not hold themselves accountable. So I feel like, not that I have to unleash anything from the meeting, as I really don't know much or anything, but I feel like that was the big dogs took accountability first, and that kind of set the way for everybody. So I would hold back on a little pessimism, fans. I think we're in for a good game.
That's right. So I could hope for a good game. Hopefully a Miami win on Saturday to knock off Louisville. So we'll see how it goes. So for Bill and Steve-O, my name is Chris. Thank you guys for joining us here on a Wednesday night. I appreciate the guys at CanesInSight for giving us the outlet to do this for you guys. And hopefully next week when we're back here, same time, same channel, we're talking about a big win for Miami Hurricanes football. So for Bill and Steve-O, I'm Chris. You all have a good night. Go Canes.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska. He's a stud, that Brown, number 98. Irvin's got it. Irvin's free. Slips to the outside, tries to stiff arm, but he couldn't get by Ray Lewis.
Big time players. Step up in big game.
Hard dog. Don't ask me if I'm all right. Hell no. Husker up to the races. That's what they needed.
That's Ricks going up for Thorpe, and it's intercepted near midfield.